Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Here's what's coming up within the half hour. It's been 2 years since the attack on Israel by Hamas. Israelis hold memorial events across the country. Former French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe urges President Macron to step down early as the country faces a political crisis. Plus, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi faces Congress over the Epstein files, and the National Guard intense hearing. Let's begin the world today. It has been 2 years since the horrific terror attack on southern Israel by the Hamas militant group. About 1,200 people were killed on that day, October 7, and nearly 300 people taken hostage. At the site of the Nova Festival attack, people embraced at memorials garnished with flowers, tributes, and candles. In Tel Aviv, people are also gathered for a memorial. Former hostages and relatives of Israelis still being held inside of Gaza are in Washington, D.C. today, urging politicians to maintain the momentum, finalizing a ceasefire deal. It comes as indirect talks continue between Hamas and Israel on President Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan aimed at ending the war in Gaza. It continues in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. Negotiating teams for both sides arrived on Monday, with mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and the United States conducting shuttle talks. The talks focus on creating field conditions for the release of the remaining 48 Israeli hostages, 20 of whom are believed to be alive, in exchange for hundreds of detained Gazans. The plan also allows humanitarian aid to enter Gaza unrestricted and offers amnesty or safe passage to Hamas members willing to disarm. Israel has agreed to the plan, while Hamas has accepted some, but not all, of the conditions. In another development, Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg has accused world leaders of betraying the Palestinian people, urging the world not to take their attention away from Gaza. She was speaking in Athens following her deportation from Israel. Thunberg said she and other activists were mistreated during their detention aboard the global Suman flotilla, a convoy of humanitarian aid boats intercepted by Israel last week. She also claimed that Israel is attempting to erase an entire population. Israel has strongly rejected accusations of genocide and mistreatment of flotilla detainees. The flotilla, which was made up of 40 vessels, attempted to sail to Gaza in defiance of the Israeli blockade.
Let me be very clear. There is a genocide going on in front of our very eyes. A live-streamed genocide on all of our phones. No one has the privilege to say we are not aware of what is happening. No one in the future will be able to say we did not know. Under international law, states have a legal obligation to act to prevent and to stop a genocide from happening. That means ending complicity, applying real pressure, and ending arms transfers. We are not seeing that. We are not even seeing the bare minimum from our governments. Our international systems are betraying Palestinians. They are not even able to prevent the worst war crimes from happening. And I will never, ever comprehend how humans can be so evil that you would deliberately starve millions of people living trapped under an illegal siege as a continuation of decades and decades of suffocating oppression. We cannot take our eyes away from Gaza, from all the places of the world that are suffering, living on the forefronts of this business-as-usual systems. Congo, Sudan, Afghanistan, Gaza, and many, many more. What we are doing is the bare minimum. This genocide and other genocides are being enabled and fueled by our own governments, our institutions, our media, and companies. It is our responsibility to end that complicity. images are platforms to take a stand
Meanwhile, the Gulf Cooperation Council and the European Union have endorsed President Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan for Gaza following their joint ministerial meeting in Kuwait City. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas says both blocs support efforts to push for a ceasefire, the release of hostages, and a political horizon for peace. GCC Secretary General Yassim al-Budaiwi praised the plan, affirming the region's readiness to back initiatives aimed at halting the conflict and addressing Gaza's humanitarian crisis.
On 7th October 2023, the world was horrified by Hamas attacks on Israel. 2 years later, famine, destruction, and mass displacement are devastating Gaza. Together, the European Union and the GCC can help bring Israelis and Palestinians into a cycle of peaceful coexistence, two states living side by side. We support the efforts of President Trump to push for a ceasefire, the release of hostages, and a political horizon for peace, and we welcome the announced acceptance of the proposal by Hamas. It is now imperative that both sides come to the table to agree to end this war and end this cycle of violence and death. Ending the human suffering in Gaza is our absolute priority. Amid the turmoil, there has also been remarkably encouraging development in Syria. We acknowledge steps taken in its transition and in stabilizing relations with neighbors. At the same time, recent violence reminds us that the fragility of these gains is still there. Transitional authorities must protect all Syrians without distinction, advance inclusive governance, and move towards disarmament and integration of armed groups.
Over in the UK, former French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe is urging President Emmanuel Macron to name a new Prime Minister to push through a budget and then call early presidential elections to solve the country's political crisis. Edouard Philippe's comments come after France's third Prime Minister in a year, Sébastien Lecornu, resigned on Monday after his bid to form a government fell apart. President Macron has asked him to make a last-ditch plan for stability by the end of Wednesday. But support for the French president appears to be waning even among his allies. Philippe, who was prime minister from 2017 until 2020, now leads the centrist Horizons party. He says he was not in favor of his immediate and abrupt resignation, but it was up to the president to live up to his mandate. In the UK, dozens of supporters of the Independence Party and others participated in a protest in Whitehall on Monday against the government's proposed digital ID system, describing it as a threat to personal freedom. Demonstrators held up placards depicting various messages of discontent with the system. Activist Piers Corbyn, brother of former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, told protesters the digital identification systems pose the end of all our freedoms, his words. The demonstration comes days after Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced plans to introduce a free digital ID for people with a right to work and live in the UK, as part of what he said was wider effort to combat illegal migration. Under the proposal, anyone taking up new employment or renting a property would need to verify their status through a digital ID app linked to a central government base.
They will come after you and tell you.
We don't want things like DigiID with rights, because that is just a trap to get us into DigiID. We say stop DigiID, period. Well, it'll be the end of all our freedoms, because it's connected with surveillance, watching what you're doing, and then it's connected also with programmable money. They want to get rid of cash and have digital cash like on your bank cards, but only that. Then if you do something wrong, like break your carbon footprint, they could prevent you buying something. The most immediate thing, obviously speaking out against it, but the most immediate practical thing is go to shops and insist they accept cash.
So basically, I personally believe that this is the beginning of our digital enslavement. If this happens, this goes through and we all consent to this will be it. So they want to know the ins and outs of every single one of our transactions. They want all of our things on one thing, which sounds good, but it isn't, because it's not what we think it's going to be. It's going to be so invasive. I think the left, because this affects them just as much as it does the right, I think that they hopefully will see some sense, and maybe it will actually unite us more than anything. It could possibly. I think he's fulfilling his puppet master's agendas. That's what I think it is. I think this is something that's been in the works for a very, very long time. I believe that they've been doing this for, they've been working on this behind the scenes, because what they say just doesn't align with what they're doing. We need everyone to come together and say no. I mean, the petition hit over 2 million signatures and he's ignored it. Why have we got these petitions, if they can just throw it out and ignore it? What's that about, It's a dictatorship, isn't it?
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is answering questions before Congress regarding a number of issues, including the Epstein files and the deployment of National Guard to certain states. Bondi touts the progress she claims law enforcement has made under her watch, delivering on Trump's tough on crime campaign promises, saying our federal surges in Washington, D.C. and Memphis are a perfect example of how the Department of Justice should operate, she says, referring to federal agents deployed by the Trump administration to those cities in a crackdown on crime. Now, regarding the Epstein files, Democrat Senator Durbin has been questioning Pam Bondi about this, asking why she said in February that the client list of Jeffrey Epstein, the late convicted pedophile financier, was sitting on her desk ready for review. He says Bondi produced information on Epstein that was already in the public and did not reveal a client list. Bondi responded that she only said that because she had not yet reviewed the files at the time, and says on July 6, a July 6 memo pointed out that there was never an Epstein client list. She's also been asked not just about troop deployment, to certain cities in the U.S., but various other issues. Let's bring in our correspondent, Maria Bird, in Washington, monitoring the situation with us. Maria, thanks for joining us on the program. And just before we go fully into the conversation, Maria, just give us an overview of what exactly the purpose of this hearing is in Congress for Pam Bondi, and what the aim is for the senators.
Yeah, you're exactly correct. This hearing that has been going on for a few hours now with Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and this is really about several issues. This not only about the Epstein files, but also James Comey's recent indictment. Additionally, it's also about the National Guard being set out in several different cities across the country, and then obviously the Tom Homan investigation. And so this is really a comprehensive approach to many of the actions by the Attorney General most recently, and how she plans to move forward and why some of these things have occurred, and how she plans to respond to what the Democrats and Republicans of the Senate have asked of her. So obviously we know that there have been a host of questions, some in which she is responding to directly, but if you look at what she's been asked around the Epstein files and some of the indictments of the Comey, the former FBI director, some of those she is not answering at this time.
She's not answering those questions at this time. But then, this hearing comes after we heard the president, a leaked memo from the president showed where he was asking Pam Bondi to go after some of his enemies. He said he would use the Department of Justice to go after his enemies, and it does seem like that's what's going on with the James Comey indictment. So there is a possibility that there will be more indictments like this that has happened to James Comey. But what exactly she said about the Epstein files, that's perhaps not information that is out there in the public that we can hold on to and say, oh, this is new information. Although she said she realized there was no Epstein client list at all. So does that counter everything else she said about the Epstein files?
Yes, and I think that it's very important to notice that when she's redirecting the questions and focusing on some of the Democrats and their relationships, and so really trying to paint a picture that Epstein was not only a friend of what they're assuming of the president, but also a friend of many other notable Democrats, obviously the former presidents that we've seen pictures with. And so this is a much broader picture that she's trying to paint, that it's not just about President Trump and Epstein, but this is really about his relationship with many politicians in Washington.
So I'm taking it that this hearing by Congress is a pulse of the Trump administration right now. And just to ask Maria, how do people feel about what's going on? The fact that the Attorney General is being quizzed by those senators, and I'm sure they're on a lunch break right now, but they will continue after. This does seem like it's going to go on the whole day. What do Americans think about what's going on? The fact that the Director of Justice is being questioned by Congress, and what that depicts to the rest of the world.
Well, as you mentioned, I think Americans, just as you said, what can we hold on to that's come out of the responses from these questions? And I think they're looking to hold on to something. I think there's several very big issues. The issues around the National Guard being deployed in many cities across the country, the issues, as you mentioned, the Epstein files, the issues around the indictment of former FBI Director Comey, and then the firing of individuals. And obviously, we're in the midst of a government shutdown. And so there's a host of issues. And as you said, there is speculation that there could be more indictments coming down the pike for individuals who might have not been very friendly with the president previously. So they're really trying to get information that the American people can really get a good sense as to what has been happening over the past few weeks, what the Attorney General is being asked to do by the president, how she's taking those directions and what she's doing, and is it in compliance with the law. It's really going to be about the compliance with the law and how she's managing forward. So that's going to be a huge part. As you said, this will likely be a full day of questioning. We will likely see several iterations of questions and questions being circled back around for those that she either redirects or does not answer.
I can see lots of headlines emerging from this hearing. Maria, thanks again for bringing us up to speed. When we come back after the break on The World Today, Nigerian designer Al Fadi marks World Cotton Day with Rome Fashion Masterclass. Stay with us. A judge in Albania has been shot dead after a man opened fire during a trial at the Court of Appeal in the capital, Tirana. Judge Astrid Kalaya died en route to hospital, while two other people, involved in the hearing over a property dispute, a father and a son, were shot but sustained injuries that were not life-threatening. Police say they arrested a 30-year-old male suspect who they identified by the initials E and SH, but Albanian media have named him as Elvis Shikembi. His uncle, a defendant in the case, has also been arrested, as has a security guard whom the authorities claim let the alleged gunman into the building even after he set off a metal detector. It is World Cotton Day today, celebrating cotton's positive impact as it provides employment, biodegrades quickly, and provides both fiber and food. Earlier today, renowned Nigerian fashion designer Al Fadi led a masterclass for students at Rome's Academy of Fashion to mark the day. Known as the Magician of the Desert for his internationally recognized work in haute couture, Al Fadi worked with students in creating 7 original cotton-based designs. Recognizing the unique benefits of cotton, in August 2021, the UN General Assembly designated October 7 each year as World Cotton Day.
Yes. The idea of World Cotton Day came from many African-producing, cotton-producing countries. They got together and they decided that the best way to promote cotton and their product is to try to push for a World Cotton Day, for the world to celebrate, or at least get one day for the world to celebrate cotton.
Cotton also makes you think of clothing, and clothing makes you think of culture. A blend of that across the world. Members of South Africa's Nigerian communities say it is vital to hold on to their identity. Our correspondent Innocent Samosa was at this year's Igbo Festival.
The atmosphere was electric, filled with the rhythms of traditional drums, vibrant cultural dances, colorful attire, and the aroma of authentic Igbo cuisine. The organizer says the festival is more than just a celebration. It is a showcase of heritage, pride, and unity for one of Nigeria's largest ethnic groups living in South Africa.
Interestingly, culture is the pillar of life. And we feel that if we can be able to get our people together and make a statement to our host community to say we are part of them in order to build social cohesion with our host community. And I feel it can also promote our own togetherness, because if we are divided as Igbos, we cannot achieve anything.
I asked attendees, in what way does the festival help preserve and promote Igbo culture among the younger generation?
We teach our children how to go from generation to generation, remembering that we've come from somewhere. Even though we're in a foreign land, we still imbibe our culture and live it. Our children know they are born in South Africa, but they come from somewhere. So those cultures and values that we hold very sacred to our heart, we want them to transcend from generation to generation.
It is very important. We have a lot to learn here today. Even our kids have a lot to learn here today. That the Igbos, for the first time, are showcasing their culture, their heritage in South Africa. So it's huge.
Some say the event has the potential to strengthen ties between South Africa and Nigeria.
We would also want to show South Africans that we are of a diverse but also interconnected breed. We're all Africans. Our cultures intermingle in one way or another. So it is extremely important.
This event is very, very important because, one, we are all Africans. Two, we have cultures. And three, the only way to narrate your story is to keep your culture and your identity.
My message to my brothers here is to continue to maintain Igbo culture and to continue to live in dignity and with more respect to the host community that is in South Africa. Igbos are known for their culture and respect. So my message is one love, one unity, and they continue to maintain Igbo tradition and culture.
It was indeed a beautiful day with colorful traditional attire.
I'm wearing an Igbo attire. It's like a George, an Igbo George. Yes. It's a traditional thing. And remember, a lot of people don't go to Nigeria like every time. So sometimes you want to bring Nigeria to the diaspora. So this is we bringing Nigeria to the diaspora. So now we get to experience Nigeria in South Africa.
My mom is actually the one selling this. It's pricey because it's straight from Nigeria. We call it Ishagu. So it means lion, but then lion head. And you can see the symbols here. It's pretty pricey, but it's worth it because of the culture.
What an inspirational, motivational time it has been here. Indeed, this was a celebration of culture and, of course, heritage. The message here is clear. Collaboration is key in achieving tremendous results. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
And I can tell Innocent had a great time eating the food and enjoying the culture. Thanks for watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani.